All right, let's go over vocab for Unit 8, which is called El Hombre Feliz. Now, technically, we already finished El Hombre Feliz, which was 8A. Okay, so you have already become, I think, pretty familiar with some of these words, but I want to just go over it just to make sure. Okay, so 8A is where we're going to start. He or she feels is se siente. Se siente. Now, this comes from, and I'm going to just make comments for my infinitives because I didn't leave a spot for that. But this verb comes from the verb sentirse, which means to feel. We have seen this before, sentirse meaning to feel. Notice that it does have an E to IE stem change in the present tense. And remember that stem changes in the present tense happen in the boot, right? So don't get confused with sentarse, though, which means to sit. Okay, so that is the infinitive. Present tense, we see se siente. In the preterite tense, this is an E to I stem change. So when we want to say he or she felt, it'd be se sintió with an accent over the O. Now remember that in the preterite tense, our stem changes happen in the sandal, no longer in the boot, just the sandal. Okay, so that's what we're seeing right here. In perfect tense, we do not see any stem changes in the imperfect tense. They don't exist in the imperfect. So if you want to say he or she used to feel, se sentía. Okay, we want to use that ia ending because it is an IR verb. So make sure you're on the right chart for that. Bueno, and so the next one, you became angry. And we've seen this a little bit, but you became angry is te pusiste enojado. Enojado, angry or mad, which means te pusiste is you became. Now that comes from ponerse, right, which means to put on or to become. So poner by itself means to put. The se then makes it to become. We typically use this with emotions. So like you put on anger in that moment, right? You became angry. So ponerse in the present tense, you become angry, is just te pones enojado. Okay, te pones enojado. Present tense, it's almost a regular verb. It is a go verb in the yo, though, so it would be me pongo. Then preterite tense, we see te pusiste. Remember that this is an irregular verb in the preterite, so we're seeing pus, that's your irregular stem, conjugated as an irregular verb. In the imperfect tense, okay, this is not one of the three irregulars because remember with the imperfect, we only have three irregulars. It's era, iba, and veía. So that's not one of the three. So we're going to conjugate it like normal. So because it's an ER verb, we have to think, okay, what's my ER-IR chart? Well, you used to become angry. Te ponías enojado. Okay. Got. Again, this is one that we saw in El Hombre Feliz worksheets. So he or she got, repiten, consiguió. Okay, consiguió. Now, to get is conseguir. We, in Spanish 2, we did learn the verb seguir and how to conjugate it. So I want you to try to think back to that information because that will help you. We're just putting a prefix on the front. Okay, so to get is conseguir. He or she gets in the present tense is consigue. Notice it is an E to I stem changer in the present tense, and that stem change will happen in the boot. Preterite tense, we've got consiguió, also a stem change in the preterite tense, E to I stem change, and that's only going to happen in the sandal. In the imperfect, it will not have a stem change because it is because stem changes don't exist in the imperfect tense, so we don't have to worry about it. And it's not one of the three irregular verbs. So to say he or she used to get, conseguía. Okay, conseguía with an accent over the I there. Notice here, too, in the preterite tense, so I'm going to take a step back for a second, but in the preterite tense, consiguió, notice we do have three vowels in a row, and that middle one isn't accented. That's okay in this case because the U is just helping the G stay as a G sound, because if we lost the U, it would be a H. So we're going to keep it just to maintain that sound. Okay, then the next two are not verbs. So first one, sadness, is tristeza. Okay, this is the noun form of sadness. If you want it to be an adjective, it's triste. So tristeza is sadness. And then a thing is a cosa. Okay, and that's just the general word for thing. You've probably heard that or read that floating around, but we've never officially had it on a chart. So cosa is a thing. All right, so that was 8A. Those shouldn't really have felt like too new of words. 8B is a little bit different of a chart. We have a lot of nouns and almost adjectives, and then just a couple of verbs. So we'll take a look at that. So the first one is humble, and that is humilde. Humilde, right? Because humble, think about it, it's kind of like having humility, not thinking so much of yourself. And so that would actually be humilde, humility. That is your cognate there. But we're going to use the term humble because that is its direct translation. Poverty is pobreza. Pobreza. And again, that's the noun form. If you wanted to use it as an adjective, right, like he or she is poor, that would just be pobre. And we've seen that one before. So pobre is poor, pobreza is poverty. Happiness, felicidad. Okay, that's your noun, happiness. Adjective form is feliz, right? I am happy, estoy feliz. So, estoy feliz, pero tengo felicidad. All right, then right here, he or she wastes or spends is gasta. All right, this is a verb. Now, it's a regular verb, so think for a second, what would be your infinitive? Gastar. Bueno, gastar, which would mean to waste or to spend. Okay, to waste or to spend, gastar. This is a regular verb in the present tense, no stem changer, nothing like that. So gasto, gastas, gasta, gastamos, gastan. Preterite tense, how would you say he or she spent or wasted? Gasto. Okay, gasto. Again, regular verb in the preterite tense. There's nothing strange about it. Same story with the imperfect. It is a regular verb. There's nothing strange about it. So how do we say he or she used to waste or used to spend? Gastaba. Okay. Then we're to consumption or purchase. And again, these are both noun forms of this. So the consumption or the purchase. And we're going to call that the el consumo. Consumo. Okay. We could turn this into a verb of consumir, which would mean to consume. But on the vocab sheet, that is its noun form. Then final word on our vocab 8 unit, our unit 8 vocab is I chose, which is elegí. Elegí. Okay, this comes from the verb elegir. Okay, elegir. Okay, present tense, this is a stem changer. It is an E to I stem change. So if you want to say I choose, your immediate reaction is going to go like this. But this creates a problem because how would we say that word? We'd say it eligo. Well, we don't want that because our infinitive was elegir. So we're going to have to make a stem change. We're going to change the G to a J. We're going to get elijo. Okay, elijo. And that solves our problem. Okay, elijo. Now, we only run into that problem, though, in the yo form. Okay, so the rest of the conjugations for that, so elijo is I choose, you choose is eliges, he or she chooses, elige, we choose, elegimos. Notice we don't have a stem change because it's not in the moot, and eligen. All right, so the only time we see that J is in the yo form. And then preterite tense, we see elegí, elegí. Okay, and then preterite tense, how do we say he or she used to choose? Elegía, or sorry, I used to choose as well, elegía. And remember that some changes don't exist in the imperfect tense, so we don't have to worry about that here. Okay, so that is all of the Unit 8 vocab. Let me know if you have any questions, but I hope that was helpful for you.